Hi, I'm Honey from Silva's Maker Studio. In this video, we're gonna go over shop numbers, stats, sales, revenue, and all those good stuff. If you're interested in finding out more about what a real working shop looks like number-wise, then stay tuned and let's dive right in. I've been wanting to do a numbers type of video for a while now. It feels like there's not really a good time to do this, but I'm just gonna go for it. I'm always interested in looking at other people's shop numbers and see how I compare, or just to be nosy and find out how other shops are doing. I thought it would be interesting to do one of my own as well. It feels very vulnerable because it feels like something that's very private, but I wanted to show it to you because I think it's very informative and it's very interesting to see what other shops look like from the inside. Just as a disclaimer, this is not my only shop. I have other Etsy shops, but this is my most active shop. First of all, I wanted to show you what my shop is all about. I sell primarily vinyl decals. I started a new browser in private mode so you can see what the shop looks like without being signed in. This is what it looks like. If you want to take a look, just go to silvasmakerstudio.etsy.com. I will link it in the description below as well. At the very top, I have my shop cover that has some of the photos from my customer reviews. These are actual decals that I've made that my customers have put on a physical store or their boat, or like a sign, their kayak, their door. So these are the vinyl decals that I sell, and customers have placed it on their items to customize. It's just very simple. I just put it as a collage, but it encapsulates the things that I sell very well. If you look at it, you have a good idea of the type of items that I sell. Over here, I have my logo. It's just a very simple text-based logo. I feel like a lot of people overthink logos. It can be something very simple. It doesn't necessarily have to have a graphic. It can just be text-based. So if you don't have a logo, it can be very simple. And the advantage of having a simple logo is that it's very readable even when it's small. Over here, I have the name of my shop, which is Silva's Maker Studio. Under the name of the shop, I have this short description where I say boat and vehicle decals, business signage, and wedding signs. And those are the three main niches that I concentrate on. I will be making a future video about the niches that I sell on. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that content. Below that, you can see I'm a star seller. That just means I earned 5-star reviews, shipped on time, and replied quickly to any messages that I received. There's a picture of me. That's me. There's my location. I'm just gonna scroll down really quickly so you can see some of the items that I'm selling. On the left, you can see the categories that I have, and it kind of breaks down into like my main niches roughly. And then here are the items, and then you can see some people have the items in their cart, so I know that shortly people will be ordering these things. Over here you can see it says I have 3,459 sales and 136 admirers. If you click the sales, you will be able to see some of the recent items that I've sold. In your settings on Etsy, you can actually hide this, but in my shop, I've chosen to just show it. I feel like it helps a little bit with SEO, and I don't really have anything to hide, so I don't need to hide the recent items that I've sold. Here, you'll see a lot of the things that I've sold are custom vinyl decals that are text-based. They're usually very simple and just plain minimalist. I don't have a lot of designy designs, so it's just very simple. I think a common misconception for Etsy is that you have to have a really complicated item that's very difficult to make to be able to sell something, but sometimes simple works really well. In my case, this product resonates with me as a seller, as a maker, because it doesn't take a long time to make these products. For myself, it's hard for me to sell a product that takes a long time to make because I get really impatient. So I love having just simpler items to make, and then it's easier to scale them as well. And it's easier for the buyer to buy it. Let's take a look at the stats from my shop dashboard. I'm not going to go over the numbers for today because it's still pretty early. It's 10 o'clock, so there's not really been any action on the shop yet. I'm going to show you the stats from yesterday. Today it's April 19, 2022. I'm going to show you the stats for April 18, which was yesterday. So yesterday I had 3 orders and I had $201 in revenue. My estimate for my orders is I usually do around 3 to 5 orders a day on average. On busier days, it can go up to 5 to 10 orders. I probably average about $100 a day in revenue, except for the slower months like January and February. Those typically are lower, but it's not really that much lower. For the last 7 days, these are my numbers. I had 17 orders and I had $493 in revenue. For the last 30 days, I had 83 orders and $3,233 in revenue. For this year, I've had a total of 304 orders and $9,303 in revenue. I'm going to show you the ones for the whole year last year. For the year of 2021, my revenue is $44,300 and I had 1,592 orders. That's for the entire year. For the revenue, that doesn't include my costs like shipping and fees and my materials and all that. This is just revenue by itself. We're not going to dive into the cost in this video, but I just wanted to show the actual revenue. For all time, these are my numbers since 2020 all the way up to now. My revenue is $75,300 and I've had 2,908 orders. I'm going to click on view detailed stats so we can take a look at this numbers in more detail. This is my stats for all time since May 2020. So when I first started my shop, that first month I had only 327 visits, but on the second month I was able to, wow, that's a big jump. Maybe I started a shop in the middle of the month probably. I was able to get 2,630 visits right away, and that's kind of been somewhat around in that range for that whole year, except for the busy Christmas season. This year, it's been more steady. There's been less fluctuation. I think this last winter season, I didn't push as hard as I did last year, in the sense that I didn't like lower my prices and stuff, because every time I would adjust my prices like every day and depending on how many sales I got. But this year I was able to just keep it a lot more consistent. Even though it's not as many visits, the price per sale is much more for this year than the previous year. There's a breakdown of where the shoppers have found me. Most of it is really through Etsy. I don't really drive a lot of traffic to here because I do have my own site externally that's Shopify. So whenever I promote that site instead of Etsy. These are primarily traffic from Etsy itself. And I do run Etsy ads. I spend anywhere between $10 to $20 a day or something like that. But it depends. I do have other shops. This is the most active shop that I have. Aside from having other shops on Etsy, I also sell on other marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Facebook, and all that. But Etsy is really my main income, and I do this full time. I'm gonna go into this finances section here on the left so you can see what the numbers look like, how it breaks down. For last year, I had 46,000 plus dollars in sales, minus about 15,000 plus fees and taxes. It breaks down into the listing fees, the marketing fee, the shipping labels, and transaction fees. That's around $30,000 if you deduct the fees, but that doesn't include my cost for supplies and everything. Here's how it breaks down by the month. January and February are really slow months for me. Last year, I think I was panicking because after Christmas, sales were just dead and I wasn't really expecting it. But this year, I was a lot more prepared, and I went into this year expecting that January and February were going to be slow, but it's going to pick up. So I spent that time this year working on listings, working on SEO, social media, and all the house cleaning kind of stuff. But last year I was really surprised by this, but it does pick up, and then it's just been pretty consistent the rest of the year. So I'd say about $3,000 to $5,000 in sales a month is what I've come to expect. But that's how it breaks down. I hope you found this informative. I was really happy to share my numbers and stats with you. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just add it in the comments below.